Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, world, and welcome to A Positive Mind with Positive Vibes. I am your host, Austin Varvel, and today I have a very just awesome, enlightening, and a very privileged episode. This is, I'm honestly very honored to have this person here on this episode with me. She has touched the lives of so many different people already. She's a very strong naturalist, I guess you could say, in who she is and what she does. And she's just an extremely awoken being. So Meo Baaklini, first and foremost, welcome and thank you. And, welcome to the show, man. I really appreciate you on this episode.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me, Austin. And you're kind. You're so kind with your words. I appreciate you.
Oh, no worries. I mean, like I said, you have many different platforms in which, you reach out to people, you talk with them, and, you change their lives. And it's, you have a very special gift, man. And that deserves to be highlighted in all of its entirety. So
dude, it's fun. I love it.
That is awesome. Well, please, kind of, first and foremost, what is it that you do, and kind of, how did you get started on this journey?
Hey, so I do a lot. I am an intuitive artist. I am a photographer. I'm a mom. I've gone through a lot of trauma in my life, so I've worked on myself and done a lot of healing and a lot of digging. And so I just see myself as a soul having a human experience. And in that journey, I have found a lot of different passions and things. So yes, I can have a career doing this and that, but at the end of the day, no matter what I'm doing for money per se, I'm actually like building connections and talking to people and helping heal and helping entertain and building like lifelong connections that way. And that's been really special.
That is awesome, man. That is awesome. And that's what I love most about that story is that, it's the story of transformation, ending up somewhere, doing something and being one type of person, if you will, and having one set of an identity, that one avatar. And then as you grow and have that spiritual awakening and have that transformation, you shed that weight, you shed that energy, and essentially you shed that identity, that skin, and you reborn. And I really think that that's, a very big transformation that's happening on a macro level, on the world level right now, to where we see all these people, reaching out, whether it be about, birth charts or astrology, or even just, further understanding and reaching out to get therapy, or, whatever it is, we have a giant awakening right now, and it's of consciousness and of spirit, and people want to be whole again, and it's a very beautiful thing. And that's why I say your work is so important, because you're right there on the forefront and on the front lines with these people, and you're doing an incredible job, man. I mean, you do I'll let you tell everything that please.
Yeah. So, well, let's just start with most recently. My most recent obsession has been looking at the soul journey through birth charts. That's more like that's astrologically looking through that, running your date of birth with your time and your location. And we can totally get into more detail about that part later. And then I also do mediumship, which means I can connect to people's loved ones on the other side, as well as their guides or any kind of messages that need to come through. That's a really cool gift, because through my body, I can feel and experience and smell and taste and touch and see things in my mind's eye that are memories from other people's consciousness. And what they do is they kind of just step in, and I let them have the driver's seat for a short amount of time while I maintain like a high vibration and tuned into this person's energy. And the things that come through, I can't pull out of my ass if I tried. So it blows my mind every single reading that I do, because I'm like, how the hell would I have even known that? So it's just really validating and cool to see these different consciousnesses come through and speak. And then I also I dabble in like Oracle and Tarot. I actually have a couple Oracle decks that I'm designing with my friend Shannon. Her and I host Souls and Stardust podcast, and that's kind of, she helped kickstart this whole journey. Well, not helped. She helped me remember who I was in other lifetimes and how magical and powerful I was, because my person didn't match up to my spirit. and that had to shed. And that was a very, very transformational period of my life. So all of that to say, I do a lot of cool stuff. So basically I'm an energy reader. I guess that's the roundabout way of saying that.
Yeah, no, I mean, first and foremost, thank you for what you do, because, that's a those are some very big tasks to take on, as one human being, and, to interpret birth charts, or to, provide yourself as a conduit for other spirits and other energies to be able to flow through you and communicate to those that are still here. That takes a lot of work, and that takes a lot of energy, and that requires a lot of energy. So, if I know you hear it all the time, but just first and foremost, thank you.
Yeah.
And other than that, that's such an awesome.
Dude, it requires a lot of belief too. I had, in amongst shedding while I was transforming and trying to figure out my life and why I'd been through what I'd been through and why I was experiencing all of these different things, but then these highs and these lows, and who the hell am I, right? I had to shed the belief system that was boxing my spirituality in. I spent, my life growing up with a Jewish family. And so that's very rooted in tradition, with some depth of knowledge of God and the creation and all of that. However, it boxes certain things in, right? So then as an adult, or, early 20s, I started going to like a Christian church, like a, evangelical Christian church. And so that kind of kickstarted the spiritual awakening process for surrendering and kind of getting into another depth. But then again, I was still boxed in. So then there was a lot of things that just didn't sit right with my soul. And I didn't agree with people telling me that my gifts that I had were evil. That, like, having somebody tell you, throw away your tarot cards because those are evil, and you're like, okay, but this is how I communicate and how I get messages and how I help people, but okay. And I, being a Taurus, I do not like being controlled like that. So
yep.
You're not about to tell me. So, after I moved from Vegas and I moved to the Bay Area for like a decade. And while the physical space was exactly what I needed, I never fully rooted into another church out in the Bay. So I was kind of like just experiencing life, just whatever, right? With my own figuring stuff out. Dude, but then like having kids and, postpartum depression, and like I started meditating and doing guided meditations and past life regression stuff, and starting to see the signs and synchronicities and everything, like my numbers all the time were getting messages, and then having things validated like every single day, like full effect. So that required dropping a certain belief system and being open-minded to this shit is possible.
And and that's what is required from everybody right now. I feel like the world in itself is shedding a much bigger belief system, and whether it be of the importance of finances, the importance of a 9-to-5, needing and requiring those things to feel like we're alive, and then that's why I feel like, once again, I've said it time and time again, last year was so important because it forced us to take a step back and stop and to really see, okay, so if I don't have a job, what does that leave me with? Well, I have my family, my friends, or I have hobbies, my dog, whatever it is, or for, unfortunately, some people, they realized they had nothing, and that was a really big eye opener for a lot of people too. And that's what I really feel has driven a lot of people to the spiritual awakening, is that much like you, people want to feel rooted in their soul, man. They want to feel like they have a connection to source. They have a connection that, is for them, is meant for them. And they have something to contribute. They have something to contribute to the greater whole. And they have something to contribute to this generation that is coming and this future that's here. Because it really isn't just about, how much money or things like that. I mean, we're seeing the loss of value in clothing left, right, and front and center. Brick and mortar retail has, as we know it, at least in the States anyway, died. So
yep.
what we're seeing is, a giant shift and a transformation of people's spirit and consciousness, where they're saying, you know what, this doesn't really line up with how I feel. This doesn't really line up with what I think. And, this doesn't really align with who I am and what I believe I'm here to do, or what really makes me happy. And that's not only just, people's spiritual foundations, but it's also their social foundations, their environments, their families, their workplaces. It could be their relationships, so the world right now is going through an incredible transformation. And, once again, we need people that are teachers, that are light workers like yourself, that continue to help guide people, help show them, who they really are and what they are underneath that avatar, that identity of, I'm supposed to work this 9 to 5 for 30 to 40 years for the rest of my life and then enjoy my life. No, dude.
Hell no. That's not what we're created for. The biggest takeaway I would say, seeing just even in depth people's souls and just seeing the connection on things. Like, I see humans like, excuse me, we weren't created to be born into a hustle bustle type of lifestyle. That's why I feel like there are so many people that are chronically ill, right? Just we're meant to be connected to nature. We're meant to have a little bit of downtime. We're meant to recharge and not be awake 18 hours a day and functioning off caffeine and then whatever else to sleep, right? Like, it's just, our bodies are just fried right now. There's a lot, the shit that we eat, the stuff in the air, the things we breathe, the stress, the cortisol levels that we throw our bodies through just from stress alone and holding stuff in. And then we're in a society where we can't even let these things out. So you have a bunch of people with blocked throat chakras walking around they're just ticking time bombs, waiting to explode because they have so much to say. And like, they need to get it out. And a lot of people need healed. There's a lot of unhealed energies just walking around, not even realizing that they're hurt because they're so in the zone and like zombified of their day-to-day life that they can't even focus on the fact that they're ill,
I completely agree. So I want to talk more about, what your most recent, as you said, obsession was. So with birth charts, what are you finding is the most, common reason why people are reaching out for birth? Because I'm noticing more and more people are spiritual, starting to really understand, what happened at this moment in time, in space, in the universe, that everything aligned and collided where you were created. What is that? What does that say about you?
Yeah. So, well, first, welcome to the age of Aquarius, where everything is now on a big humanitarian level and
beautiful
digital. And it's because of our digital nature. Now we can, share these, and people who are on that same path will be drawn and magnetized exactly where they need to be. So the birth chart is basically, so I'm a photographer, so I will equate it to the exact moment that the shutter is snapped, is like, that's your birth chart, and all the planets were in the sky in certain areas of the sky, and the sun was here and the moon was here and Pluto, this and that. And in the sky we have our constellations and we have each of our signs, right? Each of our signs of our zodiac. Now the cool part is when you take something and assign it value and you give it meaning, when you're connected to spirit and you say, what does this mean? And you need it to symbolize something, that's what you've now created. So this birth chart is an explanation that's thousands of years old of basically the combination of the soup that makes you, basically. And it's just really fascinating to look at because we're more than just our sun signs. So we all know, like, oh, I'm a Taurus or I'm this and that. Some people know their sun, moon, and their rising. But it's so much more than that. You are so much more than that. You have 12 houses. So if you're looking at this, it's a circle graph, like a pie chart. And it's, since we're Taurus, it looks like pizza slices. But if you were to look at it and think of it like hours on the clock, you could just figure that if you're 9 o'clock and you're 3 o'clock, make that horizontal, the horizon line. So that 9 o'clock one would be, that's your rising sign. Starts from there. That's the first house. And then we go counterclockwise all the way around the graph, all the way back to the 12th house. What's really fascinating is the more that I do these, I can see the soul's evolution through the chart. So if that rising sign represents birth, you can pretty much go through that whole thing and see how your soul has been hit with certain challenges so that you can integrate into your human experience, and you can grow and you can expand, and things that'll be challenges for you this lifetime, and things that you're going to work to overcome, things that you'll work towards mastering. Your relationships will be in that chart, your children or your creations or self-expressions in that chart, your careers there, your hidden subconscious. And if you want to get real creeped out, I even look at people who've already passed away, and I can see how they died in their chart. And I'm collecting data on that too, to find more and more patterns and stuff like that. So.
Wow. That is so awesome, dude. That is awesome. And I know, first and foremost, this isn't my first time talking about astrology on this podcast. So, I'm not really worried about that, but there's going to be a few people that listen to it. They're like, huh.
I know.
Really? At the same time, just as you said, this is the age of Aquarius, age of digital in, technology, but more importantly, it's the humanitarian togetherness. And we're seeing a merging of souls, of spirits, and of consciousness. So it's going to get to a point to where that person that's like, they're going to be like, I'm intrigued, So, and I feel like that's a lot of what's going on right now, is that even if people aren't, all gung ho, like, oh, I'm a rising, this, that, my sun, my moon is this, my sun is this, my 12th house is this, I need to figure out how to integrate my, third house into this. It's more along the lines of, what, I'm intrigued. I've been shut off to this. I've always kind of, put myself in this box, and it's like always, either my traditions, my culture, my family, whatever it was, these roots created a narrative for me that said this is bad. But you know what? I'm starting to see that maybe this isn't as bad, and maybe it has a little more truth to it, or at least can give me the tools of understanding myself a little more, and I really that's what people are looking for right now, is they're looking for a way to connect to themselves. They're looking for a way to better understand themselves and say, you know what? There's a lot of stuff that's happened in my life. I've gone through a lot of shit, and I've had a lot of trauma. Let me find out, like, why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? Why am I experiencing this? What is putting me through this, and how do I get out of it? And I think that, just as you said, the art of understanding people's astrology charts is thousands of years old, and it always has been. And even the human soul in itself, is very, very, very old. So and through, depending on what lives people have, it really determines where they're at in their journey. So this is a lot of understanding and a lot of depth of knowledge for people to just once again get a better understanding of themselves, and really just say, you know what, I don't know all the answers, but I'm willing to do my best to begin my journey to find out. And that's what I love most about, when you said that you ended up leaving your Jewish foundation and started going to church, more of a Christian church, is you learned surrender. And I think that is so important, because that is the one thing, especially as a fellow Taurus, and not only a triple earth sign, I am rooted. I am sitting. I'm trunk. I'm a sequoia. I'm not going nowhere. I am a 6'4" planted human. But at the same time, even I'm learning that, you have to be fluid. You have to surrender. And even if it's not saying, oh, I just give up. It's not about that. It's saying, I am willing to try new things, to understand how, like you said, I can align best with my human experience. I can align best with my avatar.
Dude, how could I maximize my efficiency while here on Earth? That's what I feel like it is.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Like, even if you've ever run like your human design chart, and just, it's all about efficiency, how you can best process and get through things and not resist how you're naturally built. Because I feel like, this right here is kind of like a little cosmic fingerprint. It's like a little algorithm to who you are. It's not going to say exactly what happened, but it's going to help show you the energy behind something. And when, we're not sitting in a we're not sitting on an earth that's not rotating. We're literally flying through space, and we're going around and around and around, and then we're going around and around and around the sun, and then we're going around and around and expanding and doing this. So it's like this vortex around us, right? So why wouldn't we be affected by energies from different things? Why wouldn't things like there's a detachment that I think, with our society, and we just get up and we're, glued to the TV and this and that, and we let people tell us what to believe, and we don't even think twice about that kind of stuff. We just take the fact that, some people can look at all, like, your desk here and your computer here and not think that's fucking wild, that we came out of nothing to something and we have these things in front of us. Does that make sense?
No, you're right. You're completely.
Yeah.
No, you're good. Because, it's crazy because, like, I find myself thinking exactly that. Like, if you take it, like you said, a desk, all of those atoms, all of those molecules merged together and created a tree. Then from the tree, another bunch of molecules called a saw or whatever else was operated by a much bigger and more complex form of atoms and molecules called a human being, who then created and crafted this desk that we use. So, even in itself, and I love the fact that you once again brought up the idea of a vortex, because this is something I listen to a lot of, and they talk about a vortex. It was, oh my gosh, I listen to them all the time too. But anyway, I'll pull that up here in a minute. But it's Abraham Hicks. There we go. Abraham.
Yes.
The vortex, and our ability to create and to manifest, and a lot of that, just as you said, has to do with surrendering. It has to do with really letting go and saying, you know what, it's time for me to stop. It's time for me to stop controlling. It's time for me to stop being possessive. It's time for me to just go with the flow, see what happens, and just, be open. But at the same time, we have to be patient. We have to be patient with ourselves, and we have to allow ourselves through this journey. And I think that a lot of people, they expect it to kind of be like a light switch, when really it's kind of like finding electricity for the first time. It takes about 1,000 tries, and then you'll get that journey, but some people are a lot more privileged as well, to where, it does take only that first time. It really depends on your journey, and what you're really meant for. And just, once again, whether it be human design, whether it be astrology, whether it be, your Akashic records, whatever it is that
Dude, I love that shit.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. It's all ways and tools of understanding, yourself, who you are, and your connection to not only the world, and not only connection to your purpose, but, connection to others around you, and how you can, like you said, maximize that communication and make it more efficient, and ultimately align yourself with that divine purpose. And I think that that's going to be a really big focus for the next 10 to 15 years, is for people to really understand what their divine purpose is and how they can truly access it.
Yeah. And what I think this kind of shows, like through the birth charts and through just even the being able to read energy and tune into people and all that, I feel like I've heard this theory, it's Earth school, right? So like our souls come down to this very dense environment, and we incarnate to our families that are vibrational matches. And we have these, things that our souls growing and focusing on this lifetime. And I think what messes with people is some people they can't quite, like explaining the internet to the ant, they can't quite grasp the difference between maybe what's destiny or what you're actually in control of, or, hey, you can actually ride the wave, these energetic waves. And the reason why you feel pulled to these things are because it's in your destiny, because this is how you're built. So kind of like the constant battle between the mind and the soul, I see that being what like the biggest struggle is for people to be able to like nail down, because it's so in and out, like flippant,
I completely agree. I can completely agree. I feel like that a lot of people, and once again, this was also, it's hard because, you want to take and love a person that's going through this, you know, and that's going through these choices. But at the same time, when you see them making the same exact choices over
I
and
know.
again, you're asking them why they're running into that wall, and they turn around and say, no, leave me alone, I'm just going to do this. And then they run into the same wall and then say, why is this happening? You know, you almost kind of just want to be like, all right, well, fuck it, whatever, I'm just going to keep on going. But at the same time, this is where that understanding comes. This is where passion comes, you know. And I heard something the other day, and I was in a really bad mood, and I was just really upset, you know, in a rough, you know, mindset. But I ended up, a friend of mine ended up reading something to me, and it just talked about, you know, when you lead and when you begin your day, or even just begin a thought in a moment with things like envy, negativity, jealousy, you know, animosity, hatred, disappointment, all of these things, you know, you're going to get that type of reaction from the universe, and that's the type of day you'll have. However, lead with love, compassion, understanding, you know, and sympathy, you're going to be able to open a lot more doors. You know, once again, it's, you know, you'll get a lot more flies with, you know, sugar than honey, or sugar than
vinegar, something like that. Honey than vinegar.
Something sweet and something that's I know
whatever my mom used to yell at me. I don't know.
Exactly. It was one of those. But you know, that's where we're at right now, and that's what a lot of people are, you know, they are starting to understand that they do have to be compassionate towards one another, but they also have to be limited in their ability to be, you know, reached, and their accessibility as well. I've talked about this on a couple of episodes prior, where, you know, people do have to be guarded of their energy. They have to be guarded of this negativity, because with Aquarius, you know, you have this openness and this humanity, but you also have a bit of Judas in there, where, you know, you got a couple people in, you know, that wolf in sheep's clothing out there kind of creepy, like, you know, what's really going on.
The way that I see it, so the way that I tune in and look at people is, I can, just the same way that somebody will look at their aura, I can kind of just imagine in my third eye, see their level of how young their soul is. Let's just say that way. And I say young, but just so our human brains can categorize an age, you know, and assign that value, right? But that could also just be unevolved, or like a distorted energy, because they're so in the ego. It's like their lens to how they view everything else is so distorted, but yet they're just like living in that distorted version of their energy, versus like a healed version and the high vibrational version of that, if that makes sense.
No,
it sounds kind of weird when I say it out loud.
and that's, you know, but that's the thing, is like, there's certain verbiage and vocabulary that you begin to learn and understand, and that you know, everybody uses when you start to, you know, begin this spiritual journey, and just understanding spirituality in general, like alignment, and, you know, like the ego and the super ego, you know, divine purpose, you know, and all these things, where, you know, when there was a time when those words were almost taboo, you know, like when the secret out, everybody was like, oh, this is super crazy, and like all this, like, no, dude, you do this, you've been doing this your entire life. This is just, now you're being aware of it. So now that you have the awareness of it, what are you going to do with it? That's the biggest question, you know. And I feel like that's where people are really beginning to understand what their divine purpose is, what it is that they're here to do, and they're beginning that journey, you know. And I think it's really beautiful that, like, once again, you're here and you're helping with people with their birth charts, you know, providing that spiritual awakening, and thus helping them become in alignment with their divine purpose. It's literally like a 1, 2, 3, like you know, like you wake up, you go and get dressed, out the door, and make a difference. That's literally that's it.
It's really cool. And Clubhouse app has really opened up the opportunity for me to build my little, you know, this is my muscle, this is my speaking. And when I tell you, if I were to break down my chart to you, you'll actually see that part of my soul journey is learning to roar, and learning to speak up, and learning to speak to large groups of people, because I have a passion for teaching what I'm learning through these transformations. And then when you look at my chart, it all makes sense why I'm meant to do this, and why. So the people that are coming to me to get their charts read, what I've been noticing, that, you know, because I feel like when I tune in, like, into one room, there's always some synchronicity in there, right? Like, the people who are meant to be there will be there. And they'll usually have something that connects them or you know, and I forgot if you were even in there earlier. I was like, oh, this person has my birthday, and then this person has this number, and then the two people I had yesterday had the same exact birthday that I was running. But and I forgot where I was going with all that. But the people that are coming to me already are on their journey. But then what I'm showing them before they even tell me anything about themselves, I'll say this. Does this resonate? And they're like, yes. And it validates for them that they're already on the path, and that's where their arrow is pointed. And here I come, the stranger that's just like, here, this is what your chart says based off your birthday, and this is what I feel like your passion should be, and this is what your soul purpose is. They're like, holy shit, like that's exactly what I do. And then they'll give me the details, and then I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense why this is in this, and you know, this house and this energy. And it's really freaking cool.
It is, you know, and it's just it's once again, you know, it's just like anything else, like tarot. It's just like, you know, whether it be runes, any other forms of divination. In Africa, we had Ifa, you know, whatever it is, there's always going to be that origin or that connection to source. There's always going to be that connection to, you know, the universe, to God, whatever it is you want to call it. You know, there's always going to be that way to interpret it, the tools that are given to understand. And it's up to us ultimately to find it. It's up to us to, you know, first and foremost, just like you said, surrender. It's up to us to hear that calling and say, you know what, it's time. It's time for me to really sit down and ask myself, what am I doing with my life? What do I want my life to mean? What type of difference do I want to make? If I even want to make a difference. I mean, you know, that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
You know, everybody's here for a purpose, and that is without question. What that purpose is entirely up to us and for us to decide, you know, and how much we want to pursue that purpose that's already within us. And that's probably the biggest thing that I love most about, you know, humanity in general, is the importance of free will, is because, you know, it's not just, oh, you can do anything. It's anything you want, or, you know, it's not about that. What it's about is there's a level of alignment that you can have in your life. And in life, you can reach whatever level that is. You could reach no level, the max level, in between, and it's all up to you. And that's what I think that people are starting to catch on more than anything right now, is that the people are realizing that it is all up to them. Their life, their happiness, their connections, who's around them, what's around them, the type of energy that's around them. They're beginning to understand their power. They're beginning to understand how important energy is, and how important vibrations are, and how important their energy is, and when what they can contribute is. And I honestly think that people are fed up. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired with this. They've been fed for, you know, decades, potentially upon centuries now. And it's just like, dude, like this shit isn't working. This is not, there's has to be more to humanity, you know, and there is. So what I want to talk about now is, how can people find you? Where are you, and what platforms are you using to be able to share these gifts?
Yeah. So first, I have a podcast called Souls and Stardust that is pretty much available everywhere: Spotify, iTunes. This year, Shannon and I will be taking that more seriously and recording and batch season, or recording seasons by the batch. I don't know, whatever I'm trying to say. And so we'll have another season up there pretty soon. On Instagram, I am at Meo Baaklini. That's Meo Baaklini. That you'll see a bunch of my artwork, stuff with my kids, a ton of memes. My stories are where it's at, though. Stories, because that's where I'm very like, I like to talk to people and post funny things, and then talk about birth charts, and, you know, just share more than just what's on my feed. And then I have a website, meobaaklini.com. You can see all my photography, my art. You can book a reading, you can book a mediumship reading, you can do birth chart. And then if you just want to pop in on Clubhouse, I do live mini readings, and then people just donate and tip through there if they want to do that. And I think that covers it.
And you're also, you know, working outside of that, a mom outside of that, you know, doing all these
homeschooling,
like, dude, like you, and this is what I love most about it, though. And I'm going to ask you this question. I already know the answer, but I love it anyway. Does it feel like work?
No.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
I feel amped. I might feel a little tired after that. I work with people like, 2 hours straight or an hour reading, but it's rejuvenating. Like I feel a sense of accomplishment. People, when they give me their feedback, and especially when they give me their validation about like the things I'm picking up, because first, I'm very insecure about trusting my intuition. So I feel like I want to puke sometimes because I'll be like, oh my God, I have this thing that I want to say to somebody, but I'm scared that if I say this, they're going to reject me, or they're going to reject that, or it's going to be wrong and negative, 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 right?
Feeling, trust me, I know that.
The more I surrender and the more I trust that I set the intentions that whatever comes out of my mouth will be true and accurate and for the best and highest good of all involved, I know what will come through will come through. And I can't question it. I'm just, put it this way. The way I look at it is when I do readings, I feel like I am a radio station. And I'm just turning the dial to tune into your station, and the messages that are coming through, they're already there in the airwaves, right? You can turn your radio station to any single channel right now, and there's something there, right? Or same ways like your internet, you go, the information's already floating out there because somebody created it and put it out somewhere, and then you are specifically tuning in to say, let me look this up. And that's exactly how it is like when I read too. And so it doesn't feel exhausting. Like I feel so good, even if someone's crying because they're healing. I've had mothers that have lost babies and children, or, they've lost their siblings and their significant others. And the things that come through for them, they will just, with gratitude, say like, that was worth more than 6 months of therapy. Just a half an hour talking to and getting those messages, knowing that this person's okay and this person sees me in my current life. And because the spirit will come and bring up things that are in their life that happened after the person died, or they'll bring up stuff that the person only did with nobody else around. They're like, I do that on my own. Like, how did you know that? Or something like that. So that's when I know, look, consciousness is everywhere, and you can tune it in, you can dial it in, you can ask for signs, you can talk to it, you can interact. Everything is a living, breathing entity in a way. Money is an entity. That how you treat your money and how you treat your energy towards it, how you speak to yourself, you're a being, how you how you think about your job, how you think about everything. Like your thoughts are like what you're surrounding that with. And if it's a womb, you want to nurture it, right? You need to nurture your thoughts. You need to have high vibrational thoughts. You need to carry yourself in a way where, and of course I'm not always perfect, because I will pop off in the mouth when I step further into my human, unless, you know what I mean? when I let my mouth instead of my soul control, it's just like, oh, maybe I should have said that. But for the most part, when I step out the door, I know whoever I'm working with, whoever I meet in line, whoever I'm interacting with that day is for a purpose, it's for a reason. And even if it's that even if my words don't say something, I emit such a grounding, soothing, calming energy to some people that they feel good just being around me.
That is literally what I wanted everybody to hear, what I wanted the world to hear, because that is what synchronicity and that is what an alignment sounds like and looks like. And I've talked about this for several episodes now, but I haven't really been able to capture, that verbal confirmation, or that account, if you will, of like, this is what it looks like. This is the finished product. This is what everything looks like in your life when you get there. When you get that alignment, when you are meant to be doing what you're doing, it doesn't feel like work. It does feel like you're giving back. You're literally changing the world, and it's an incredible, incredible experience. And I just once again want to say thank you for doing what you do, for changing others' lives, and for continuing to shed this light here, because it's important, man. It's probably the most important time in our lifetime, quite potentially even in the human, where we're seeing this conscious shift. We are seeing this mental shift, and even a physical shift in humanity. We're getting a lot bigger as humans. We're getting a lot taller. We're almost kind of resembling if you kind of almost want to go there, you know, that of giants. There's, have you seen these kids that are getting old? I'm 4 and every single one of my younger siblings are taller than me. I'm the oldest of,
Oh,
this is not okay. I'm like, it's in any way, shape or form. And they're all younger. So
oh my God.
exactly. Like, we have these giants that are around us now, and we have this consciousness that is shifting. It almost sounds like the world, like humanity is evolving, if I didn't say so myself. But the question is once again, what are we going to evolve into? What are we going to evolve and become as one, as a unit, as a unified race, as a unified culture, as a society? So, you know,
Yeah, I love that.
what was that?
I said, I love that.
Oh yeah, man. That's the choice right now. That's what we got. It's all up to us. So, you know, and one thing I do want to say, one of the last final things I want to say is, you know, to everybody right now that is going through these moments, of transformation, that, you know, feels lost, that doesn't know what's going on, that, you know, whether it have been COVID, whether it have been, you know, any whatever else in the world, their whole world's upside down. You know, what would you say to them? Sorry to kind of put you on the spot.
Unplug from electronics, detach, and get back to finding your baseline homeostasis for your human. You need to figure out how you work best. Your human, go out in nature, listen to the sound of your own thoughts. Start listening, start journaling, start just getting what your concerns are. Do a body scan if you have to in your own mind, like, okay, show me the areas that I need to work on. Show me where I'm blocked. Show me where my fears are. Show me, and you can ask your intuition these things, and you will see it. You will hear it. You will have a feeling. You'll have a knowing. And the more you do this, the more you exercise this, it's just like a muscle. The more you'll trust yourself, then the more you know who you are, the more you know who everybody else is outside of you, and you're not going to be meshing yourself into all of these different energies throughout your day or in your life or with your family. You're going to be solid. You're like solidly yourself first and foremost, so that nobody else can fuck with you. And I feel like there needs to be that digging and that healing, and
definitely
admitting to ourselves, right? Like, maybe I need work in these areas. Maybe take what other people have said about you and write those down and ask yourself, are these true? Or is this a shade of it? Like, is this partially true? And I should work on this from time to time because, you know, I'm unevolved in these certain areas, and so I need to work on this. But just start with getting to know yourself before you can start making decisions about anybody else. You have to know yourself.
Sounds like you just brought up the first step. Once again, surrender.
But, you know, Mercury and Taurus for me, so my communication is long and drawn out.
It's okay. Mine is too. I don't know if my Mercury... I definitely understand.
Oh no, yours is in Gemini. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second, because I did want to point out a couple things in your chart that I need to tell you about for sure, just to validate for you about your experience and your journey and why you're here doing what you're doing.
Okay. I mean, honestly, shoot, we can just go and get right to it. Now you
just go.
Me, madam. Yeah, you've been treated.
That's all that earth. That earth is just like blunt, like, give it to me.
Yep, all of it.
All right. So you are already familiar with your chart, and you're already familiar with the houses a little bit. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. So the first thing that I do want to point out is that your North Node, which is your soul purpose. So your North Node is your soul purpose this lifetime. Your South Node is like the things that you've, you know, conquered or mastered in the past life. Your North Node is in your 11th house. So your soul purpose is your 11th house of groups and communities. It is in Scorpio, and Pluto is right there next to it. When Pluto is in Scorpio, that is in its home court advantage. That is its own rulership. Pluto and Scorpio represent each other on the energy wise. So what that means though, Pluto and Scorpio are researchers, they're detectives, they are transforming energy. It is mental health, it is mental things. So a distorted version of all of this could be like deep obsessive fixation. However, when it's used in the light and used for high vibrational and putting out the good and the light in the world, you're literally, your sole purpose is here to talk to groups about mental health and well-being, and going deep and digging deep. The other part that I want to...
Let me just real quick, just so everybody's listening, I did not tell her to say any of this. This is...
He just gave me his date of birth and all of that, and I just plugged it in. So
this isn't plain.
Another thing to point out is that your 10th house, which is your career and your legacy, you have Jupiter in that house. Jupiter, aside from the sun, is the second biggest energy. And so it expands and it magnifies and it makes bigger. And so your career is tied into these groups and communities because all of this is in Scorpio for you. So you're all about going deep with people. Let's see. Your 8th house, that's our house of death, debt, taxes, the price we pay for things, the things that transform us, our wounds, right? Your Chiron and your moon are there. Chiron is the wounded healer. So literally, you're here to help others heal these things, even though you may not be fully healed yourself. And the fact that the moon is right there with it means it's emotional and it's deep. And it's also in Virgo. So although Virgo moons can be very analytical and very regimented, right? Very observant and judgmental and all of these things that they're typically known for. When I see it in there with your Chiron in that 8th house of that death, I see it as you hardcore analyzing everything. Not just to scrutinize it for scrutinizing it, but you're not just pick it apart, but if you're picking it apart, it's because of that wanting to take this toy apart and get to the depths of it to see how it works, if that makes sense. Does that resonate?
Oh, yes. Yeah, and it's crazy because that's definitely something a lot of my shadow work has been as of recent, has been going through and healing a lot of those parts. Because yeah, you're right. I do my best to help others, even when I myself, may need that help at some time. So that's very, very spot on. Very spot on.
All right, let's keep going because there's a couple other things that you need to know right now. The current North Node is actually transiting Gemini, and it's actually transiting your Mercury in Gemini in your 6th house. 6th house is not only just health and wellness, it's our daily routines, but it's our work, it's our employees, it's all of that. It's our day-to-day human life, right? But the fact that your Mercury is in Gemini and that North Node is crossing it right now is activating the shit out of that. Your sole purpose is speaking up and communicating to these people on that level, but also to how you're doing with your podcast, because you're opening up your community and you're building your community by communicating the changes that you're going through, right? And then the other thing I just want to point out, your 5th house, which is your self-expression, and that's the house of our creativity, because creativity is manifesting, right? That's, you're taking a concept, an idea, and you're making it happen. So it's also considered our children. These are the things that we give birth to, right? Or sometimes it can literally mean children. Your sun is in this house, in Taurus. So the things that you create, your 5th house also covers Gemini and Taurus. So it's Taurus, what you're working at to create, you're working very, very hard at it, because Taurus we're workhorses. You just tell us when and where to be there, and we will be there and work our asses off from clocking in to clocking out, and we don't finish until we're done, right? If we don't finish, it literally feels like I'm abandoning it, or I just want to get it all done in one shot or something. But the fact that your sun is there, it's like, this is spotlight for you. This creating and making things happen is a huge thing that you're able to do. And it's more than just being stubborn and loving to eat.
Wow. That is awesome. Thank you. So this is probably a lot of the responses that you normally get, but like that was more than spot on, man. That was definitely some things that I needed to hear, and I thank you for that, because yeah, you know, I've been wanting to get a little more personal on the episodes and you know, really introduce a lot of me and a lot more of like what I've been going through in it. But at the same time, it's like, you know, this isn't about me. This is about the audience, and this is about who's listening, and this is about what they're going through. But at the same time, that connection has to be built, right? That bridge has to be built. So, you know, that was just confirmation in itself. Absolutely. For me to share, you know, my personal experiences, what I'm going through and when I'm going through it, because that's ultimately going to connect to people most. If, you know, if I'm going through some shit, you're going through some shit, we're going through some shit together, and we gonna get through it, you know. But just in, oh, well, you're the one going through shit and I seem like I've already gone through it. It's like, nah, dude, like we're all going through, you know, different levels, but it's all shit at the end of the day. So,
and let me just tell you where the transits are right now. So those are all just on your chart, right? The moon is in Cancer right now, crossing over your 7th house, which is literally your emotions. And Cancer energy is very nurturing, maternal, right? It's womb-like. It's let me feed you, let me take care of you, let me get intimate with you. In the house, like your 7th house, which is like that shit, like that's your in one-on-one relationships, that's your intimate relationships, that's that. So like the fact that moon is lighting all that up right now, and you just said like, I want to get more intimate on my episodes, like do it. Like it's beautiful. I mean, yes, talk about yourself, but I mean, what you're doing, it's crazy because what we're talking right now is a one-on-one conversation. However, the intent is to go community and to share to the world, right? But yet the connection that we're having is one-on-one. So it's cool. That's like, all right, cool. The moon's lighting all that up for us. Like right there in your 7th house. I see it happening.
I see, and that's one thing that once again, you know, I love about birth charts is that it's almost like a television station. Like you literally can just turn on someone's episode and just like, oh, this is where you're at right now, and this is what you got on in your life. And
what's even deeper and cooler than that, and I know it's probably been recording for so long, but I'm learning even deeper techniques. So I'm at the tip of the iceberg, but I'm still like, there's so much to learn, but there's even deeper techniques where you can tear this apart and then look at transits on specific dates and see what transits triggered and why you had a car accident, or why somebody up and left you, or why this happened and it was such a sudden change, or why we moved, or this and that. Like it's all in there. And I don't know how, why, when, but it's wild. So as soon as I get all that down, I will definitely rerun your chart. We'll get even deeper and like validate some stuff in there and see if we can.
Forward to it, man. I look forward to it. Once again, Meo, thank you for just everything you do. Thank you for being on the episode. And just thank you for sharing, you know, yourself, a part of yourself, a part of your past and your history, and, you know, just sharing your future with us. And, you know, once again, just for everybody who's listening, you know, how can we get in contact with you? How can we find you?
Yep. Find me on Instagram at Meo Baaklini or meobaaklini.com for my website if you want to purchase or book or just get nosy and check out my stuff. Or if you want to listen to me talk for an hour a day, just join me on Clubhouse and I'll go live, usually later in the afternoon or late evening when the kids aren't around. So I can have some quiet. So that's where you can find me.
Man, that is awesome. And just, you know, continue to do what you do. And I just want to say thank you, you know, more than anything for, you know, not only sharing my message with me, but with, you know, the tens of hundreds of people that you have already shared, you know, their messages with, and, you know, the thousands, if not millions more that you will, because you are making a difference already. And that difference is going to expand even more. And I definitely know it. So just thank you, you know, once again, thank you.
Yes, my pleasure. Thank you so much. And now I got to see whenever we start having guests, I'll have you jump on our podcast too, because I can just sit here and geek out and talk about all of this spirituality and the depths and the soul forever. So thank you so much, Austin. I appreciate you.
Of course, I appreciate you. Thank you for everything. Everyone listening, guys, just, continue to stay focused, continue to, once again, as we said, surrender, give in, and, allow yourself to experience that spiritual awakening. Allow yourself to really open yourself up to, the possibilities, the potentials, and the what ifs, because in those what ifs, you're going to learn, you're going to experience, and you're going to find things about yourself that you never knew, not because you weren't meant to, but because you were just closed off at that time. It wasn't that alignment of those planets haven't happened yet for you to experience that. And now that it's here, here's your awareness, here's your confirmation, here's your validation. Your validation is right here. You are exactly where you need to be. You are doing exactly what you need to do. And you are in this exact moment, and it is perfection because you are there. Do not ever think anything otherwise. Do not think anything less than. You are on the journey you are meant to be, and you are going to experience your transformation. And because of that, you will transform yourself. You will transform those around you. And together we're going to transform this world. And it's truly beautiful seeing already. And it's going to be even more beautiful when we're done.
And so it is.
And so it is. I love you all. I wish you peace and blessings, love and light always. And once again, you can always reach out to me, pmpvpodcast.com. Reach out to me on Instagram at PMPV podcast. Reach out to me on Facebook. Just search my name, Austin Varvel. Whatever you guys need, I'm always here for you guys. I have a few of you reaching out to me already. I'm always here, always available. I will make time. This is why I'm here. This is what I'm meant to do. And as Meo pointed out, this is what I'm doing. So, thank you once again, Meo, and just once again, everyone. Just peace and blessings, love and light always. Ashe.
Beautiful.